Now let's take a look at what's making the headlines on the papers from around the world this morning. We begin with our sister publication, as always. This day, it focuses on President Buhari's aggressive international investment drive with just 559 days left in the life of the administration. It says from Saudi Arabia, France, now South Africa, President wooing investors. Other headlines on the front page of this day this morning. Military, we are not planning to overthrow Buhari's government. Declares loyalty to Constitution. President neutralizes 37 terrorists in Uba Africa's reprisal. And Fintiri mourns General Zekozu. Other soldiers killed in Chibok as Undume alleges ISWAP regrouping in Lake Chad. Above the nameplate this morning, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, loses brother Sani, who is the vice president of the Dangote Group and owner of the Dancer Agro Allied Limited. Finally, this morning, head of service in Nigeria is threatening to sack 426 workers for rejecting postings. For details of this story, take a copy of this day this morning.
Away from that, let's go now to the Punch newspaper. Election season drawing closer. INEC lists core members to conduct direct primaries. Just above that, we've got Nigerian banks lend private sector 4.1 trillion naira in 1 year. And that's according to a report on page 37 of the Punch newspaper. There's more. I don't know what happened to camera I recovered at Lekki Tollgate. That's Minister Fashola speaking. You can find that on page 8. And just below the Punch, just below the picture on the front page, it's a flooded road somewhere in Lagos. This one says, none of our 41 members insured Ikoyi collapsed building. That's the NIA speaking. Find that on page 45.
On The Nation this morning, the main headline, how federal government plans to utilise fresh foreign loans. New borrowings push Nigeria's debt stock to 52 trillion naira. But among the items, so to speak, or investment is the new railway and also Nigeria for Women project. Also, governors to senators, reps remove direct primary cores. Also, 2022 APC begins sale of forms for governorship elections. 3,500 killed by cholera, says the NCDC, 100,000 cases reported. And also an intriguing story, man worried over looming 1.9 trillion naira revenue loss.
And making its debut to the paper review on Daybreak, it's the national economy, leading this morning with new revenue sharing formula to confer more responsibility on local government areas. This is as the headline above the nameplate for the paper says, the Central Bank of Nigeria moves to recover unpaid 463 billion naira anchor borrowers loan. For this and more, you can pick a copy of the national economy.
And moving on to the international scene, Iceland is heading to the UK. Snow way out. Britain faces Icelandic barrage within days. You can find that in the Daily Star. And even more on pages 45, fears for Queen Elizabeth.
The Daily Mail also running with the Queen's story. She pulls out of the cenotaph service. Is Queen set to cut back duties after a health scare? But the main story, Poppy Day bomb rocks maternity hospital. One dead in blast seconds before 11 a.m. Hero driver locks passenger inside taxi after spotting explosives. Counter-terror police arrest 3 men.
Well, the Mirror also leads with a fatal explosion at the Liverpool's Women's Hospital. Terror probe after tax blast is the headline dominating there. It includes an inset picture of an armed officer in Liverpool on Sunday.
Moving on to other headlines now in the Daily Mail. Okay, Dan's got that one.
Yeah, which I've done moments ago.
Okay.
But I guess we can bring in Emmanuel Bello for the press review now. We do have Emmanuel. Great. Emmanuel, great to see you. Start of a new week, and of course the papers are busy. Let's begin with the newspaper of records in Nigeria this day. and it's leading with the president's aggressive, that's how he puts it. The paper puts it this morning. The president's aggressive international investment drive from Saudi Arabia to France, now to South Africa, and who knows where next. Emmanuel Bello, what is President Buhari trying to do here with 559 days to go?
Good morning. Well, the president is running out of time. He's more than any other person aware of that. And so coming out of the weekend, the papers will be looking at various angles on how to sell their papers. And they have a big chance of doing their exclusive stories because sometimes nothing really big is breaking officially. So they look for areas to sell big stories. And this day is speaking on a very important thing, almost counting the days for the president. We now have a figure to it. It says 559 days. There are Nigerians who are looking at it in terms of years, but now it's been reduced to just days. So it gives you some perspective or an insight into the state of, clearly the state of emergency that the president finds himself in, where he needs to rally up some investments into the country and then do something about his legacy. He's always talking about that. One paper reporting what they intend to do with foreign loans and all of that. So is the president that is in a hurry? We see that happening right after the presidential retreat. The president has been all over the world talking to investors, telling them that the conditions are ripe and that they need to come home. Sadly, those investors will be looking at other indices, not just the beautiful speeches of the president. They might want to know how secure the country is, and all of that. Some of the stories coming out that we're dealing with this morning suggest that we have other challenges confronting the country. But the president is out there. He's been around the world, France, everywhere, now in South Africa, doing the job of a salesman and talking to investors, telling them that the conditions are right and that they can invest in various sectors. He is doing his last dash, so to speak, in the race. And so he needs to rally these supports and investors into the country. How that pans out well for him, how he succeeds in doing that is a different story altogether. But for now, the president is on the world stage saying all the right things, the beautiful things, and calling investors to, come over.
And Emmanuel, while the president counts down 559 days, you talked about security, and right above that headline, the military is saying we're not planning to overthrow Buhari's government. Is this the case? Do we have anything to be scared of? People say once the authorities begin to debunk something, then there's something happening.
Exactly, and anybody looking at this story will begin to wonder what's there, what are the rumors, what are the feelers, why is the military denying what's going on? But when you look at what's been happening, especially with at the weekend, the loss of a general at the war front, it looks as if we're in a state of war, and security will continue to be an area where the president will have to worry a lot. He was actually elected in the first place for this kind of thing. He's a general himself. And a lot of people expected more in the area of security. That's one area that Nigerians will continue to either score him low or high, depending on what they're reading and what they're seeing. And so, yes, security is a very, very important thing. And at the weekend, it came into bold relief with actually the attacks in Borno and then the death of that general. And with Ndume actually, Senator Ndume saying some regroupings are going on. We're almost like in a state of war. So probably it is in the atmosphere of all of that the military is trying to reassure the country, reassure the democratic forces, the international community that no, military regimes are not needed, they are not popular anymore around the world. But yes, security will remain an area that Nigerians will continue to actually talk about and say that this president must do more or has failed or he's not doing the right thing, depending on who are his fans and who are not. But a lot of Nigerians worry about security, worrying about the deteriorating conditions in that sector. And sadly, this president came into power on the promises that he's going to offer better security, better economy, better transparency. These are the things that President Buhari will continue to grapple with. And as he winds down his presidency, a lot of people will continue to indicate or give indications of what he's done in these sectors and whether he's done well or not done well. And but the jury is out there. A lot of Nigerians talking about it. Security needs to improve.
Indeed, Emmanuel. I'm just going to move to the nation this morning. There's a story here: 3,500 people killed by cholera. That's according to the NCDC, and also 100,000 cases reported. I mean, is this something that we should be concerned about? Have we taken the eye off the cholera because of COVID-19?
Yes, and then of course look at the outrageous numbers. There are 3,500 killed by cholera. I mean, if you look at the numbers and you look at the other health issues we're dealing with, you know that this is a serious concern, and the Nation newspaper is putting it out there. It's not every day that you have health stories, on the front page, but these numbers, these figures, showing clearly the crisis of the health sector, especially in the atmosphere of the COVID crisis itself. So yes, it's a worrisome story, and I think one that we need to look closer and to see what the officials are doing, what's the health ministry doing concerning some of these diseases. These numbers are they're outrageous in view of all that, you get to hear that the ministry is claiming to have done the right thing or not done the right thing. These numbers are very daunting and they're very scary.
The electoral body in Nigeria, INEC, is listing core members to conduct the direct primaries. You recall that the opposition party in the country, the PDP, had kicked against this decision, saying it was the APC imposing direct primaries on other parties. But now INEC has been speaking, saying we do not have the manpower to even monitor these direct primaries by political parties. And so they are thinking of bringing in core members to this. What do you think?
Well, what I think is the continuation of that debate on direct primaries, whether they are feasible, whether they are okay. A lot of people seem to be in agreement that direct primaries is the way to go, because it takes away all that the issues of imposition of candidates, and then it give power back to the people directly. So it has its own advantages, but of course the downside is the issue of how to monitor it, how to actually practicalize it, the problem of manpower. And so INEC coming out to say they need over 17,000 staff, for instance, to monitor the APC and the PDP primaries, and then of course the issue, the kind of finances that will entail. So using the core members are ways of trying to get around those crises. There are people who say you shouldn't use core members that way, but then other people are saying that, well, if they are going to get any kind of cognitive experience at all in these matters, why not? That they can be used. But others are actually, but at the heart of it is actually the crisis of the direct primaries, the expenses, the financial burden it places on the parties and even individuals, and of course on INEC. But by and large, a lot of people think that direct primaries is the way to go. Some governors kicking against it, but a lot of people saying that it's a done deal. We're just waiting for the president to assent to it so that there will be direct primaries in the next coming elections.
And you've done well today, Emmanuel Bello. Thank you so much.